What's up, guys? Spartan85, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be covering electricity, the basics, maybe a little more advanced stuff at the end, but I've had several requests over the last couple weeks, maybe some new players coming to 2.0, maybe some console players that have upgraded from the legacy version to the new version that are like, okay, how do we do electricity? Like, I can't get this to work. So I'm going to be covering that in today's video, and I just want to start with the power source. This is the most important part and what you always start with. If you're having issues, if you cannot get something to work, go back to the power source and start there. Always start from the power source. So the three different power sources that we have are the generator bank, which takes engines and gas, as you can see. Just place your engines right in there like that. And then the battery bank, which is my personal favorite because they're cheap at the trader and you can find batteries in cars, taking apart cars or anywhere for loot, and you just put your batteries in there. And if you look here, each battery has a different level. So level 4 is giving me 41 watts of output here. And then a level 1 will give me 29 watts. So this is where the actual levels of the batteries matter. As we see, we don't have levels of the engines, but we have levels of the batteries. So level 4s will give me 82 watts. And if I fill this up, I'm going to have 144 watts. And then this is your power right here. This will start to go up. The more things you connect and turn on, you'll see this go up. So if you're getting pretty far maxed out and you have enough batteries here, you might need to put in another battery bank or a generator bank. And then last but not least is the solar bank. Now these are found pretty late game. They're expensive at the trader. They are nice for recharging the battery bank, and you can use the generator bank also to recharge the battery bank. That's another feature of the battery bank is it's rechargeable. You can recharge your batteries, and I'll cover that later on in the video. But the solar bank is a power source that you can use also to connect your devices or whatever you're using. So this one's nice, but like I said, it's late game, and a lot of people use it mainly to charge the battery bank. All right, so how do we hook things up? Well, you're going to need this wire tool right here, and you can find this in loot or at the trader, and it's kind of magic because it comes with infinite wire pretty much, but you use the right mouse button or the left trigger on PS5 or Xbox. It's basically the power attack button. Use that to connect things. So let's get some batteries in here. I'm just going to throw a level 4 in here so we can kind of watch. Just have a level 4, and then I'm going to right-click or left trigger this, and they're going to connect the electric fence post. We're going to start with the electric fence post, and it says the power right there, so 5 watts. So, and as you can see, we have yellow. This is our flow. I always start with the power source, and here is our flow. So if let's just say left mouse button or right trigger. So left mouse button or right trigger will disconnect your connections if you want. So let's just say I do it backwards. This is what it'll look like here. It's actually going from here to the power source. So if you turn this on, it doesn't even say there's any power being drained at all. So that will tell you right now, if you're troubleshooting and you see this, that's your problem there. So let's disconnect this. Let's connect this back. So now you see the power is flowing from here to the electric fence post. And now if you turn this on, you see 5 watts is being drained. So you can kind of check your how much drain is being taken. So now let's connect this to another electric fence post. Now it's blue. Blue means it's electrified. You have a solid connection here. So now if I go here and I turn this on, now we have 10 watts of draw. And if I walk through this, I will be electrified. Now we can connect a third one. So go here, always follow your flow. So we're going from here to here to here. Now we're going to go from here to here. Well, if I do that, I'm going to be electrified. Now we have another solid connection like that. And if you go over here, we now have 15 watts of power. Okay, let's say you're covering a long distance. Maybe this is a long distance right here and you cannot connect these, or you just want to have a little bit safer of a connection. I highly recommend using these electric wire relays. I use these on every build that I use. So basically what you do, I'm going to go back to the wire tool. I'm going to disconnect this connection here, right here. So these are all still connected here. So I like to run this to an electric wire relay. You don't have to, but I like it. I just like to use these. I think it's easier to connect from these. You can put these in different spots, hide them on your base or wherever you want. So you're going to connect from here. So the power is going from here to the relay to the electric fence post. Boom, there we go. Now we have a good connection. Now you can run as many connections as you want from here. Let's say you want to put another electric fence post, let's say down here. Maybe this is your base. You can run from here down to here, and then from here to here. So there you go. That's a pretty basic electric fence post hookup. If you look at our power source, we're up to 26. So if you're getting that way, I only have one battery in here, so let's throw another battery in there. As you can see, we're still 26, but we have a bigger open area of the power that we can use up. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, you could really fill these things up with batteries. All right, next up is the blade trap I'll cover. And these are pretty fun because you can put these on walls like this. You can put them on the ground. They will set off demolishers, so keep that in mind. They do a little bit of damage to zombies. I've always kind of found they get broken more than anything. But let's set up a couple blade traps. Let's just put them there like that. And same thing, we're gonna come over here. We're gonna right mouse button or left trigger, connect the battery bank to the relay to the blade trap. And then if you want to, you can connect this blade trap to this one, but keep in mind, if you do connect these and this gets destroyed somehow, this blade trap will stop. So what you can do instead of that is run this to this blade trap. And then I'm going to put another relay here. So let's run this relay to this relay. And then this relay is going to connect this blade trap. Now they're independent. So if this one gets destroyed by zombies, this one's still running. So I highly recommend connecting these blade traps individually with their own relay. And then of course you can still connect your electric fence post from this relay too. This relay can connect a lot of different things. Now we can also hook up spotlights if we want, or this light sources in general. If there's a light source you want to connect from the relay up to the spotlight, and then I'm going to relay to this other spotlight too. I don't like connecting them. And then you just turn them on. There we go. They are connected. They take 5 watts of power, but you can use lights also with electricity. Okay, next I'll cover is the dart trap. And if you have one of these, you're going to need actual darts with this too. You can craft these in the forge or buy them from the trader. Now the dart tells you with the arrow which way it's going to shoot. So let's put it down right here. And then let's connect it with electricity. So we're going to go right here to here. Now we need to go into this. You can see it's trying to shoot. So let me go ahead and turn this off real quick. You can kind of hear it clicking. So now we need to lower our darts. So let's put some darts in there, and you have to lock the ammo, just like the turrets that I'll show in just a minute. So lock the ammo. If you do not lock the ammo, this will not work. So as it is right now, if you turn this on, it's going to shoot. So let's turn this on. Did you see it shoot? So it's going to shoot non-stop, just like this. So let me turn this off real quick. Now there's a couple different things you can do. You can do sensors or pressure plates. I prefer pressure plates because if a zombie walks across this, then that's going to set it off. So for this to happen, this is kind of like a switch. So you have to, let's disconnect this one right here. So the power has to go to the trigger plate. This is called a trigger plate, I'm sorry. And so go here to the trigger plate. Now this will control the power to the dart trap now. So now we're going to connect this to the dart trap. So you have to go in that order. I know a lot of people like to go from the power source to the dart trap to the trigger plate, but like I said, this controls the power. So you have to go that way. So now let's turn this back on. As you can hear, it's not shooting now. So if I stand on this trigger plate, I'm going to get shot and I'm just about dead. So I'm going to get off that plate real quick and use the first aid kit. And then you can put these trigger plates in the zombie's path. Okay, next we'll cover is the turrets, not to be confused with the robotic turrets. These are the shotgun auto turrets and the SMG auto turrets. The shotgun auto turrets are really good for on top of your base for vultures, to keep the vultures off your back. But I'm just going to set one up right here, and then I'll set up an SMG turret. So see which way it's facing? That is the way it's going to shoot, and it has about a 90-degree range, not 180 degrees, not all the way across left and right. It's a 90-degree range, so keep that in mind. So we're going to put both of those down. And then let's connect these with power. So I'm going to get another relay real quick. Let me bring this down. Like I said, I like to use relays. It's just my personal preference. Let's put a relay right here. We're going to connect the power to the relay and then over to the shotgun auto turret. And like I said, I like to have its own power source. Let's see how much power we're using now. We're about 64 watts. We're doing pretty good. That's with the blade trap and the dart trap all hooked up and the spotlights. All right, so now we need to come over here and actually put ammo in it. It actually shows you a preview right here of what the field of view is right here. So, and this takes regular shotgun shells. You cannot put slugs in here. So put some shotgun shells in here, and you have to lock the ammo just like the dart trap. And then you can choose if you want to do target allies, target self, target strangers, or zombies. So it's good for PvE also. And then the SMG takes 9mm. So we have some right here. I'm going to throw that in there. Same thing, lock the ammo. Now, once the ammo is locked, if we get zombies here, it's going to shoot them. So here we go. I bring some zombies in front of them, and there it goes. Don't even have to do any work. Very nice. These are a lot of fun to use. Like I said, the auto turret's good for vultures. Keep in mind, these love to set off demolisher buttons. So don't put these in line with where demolishers might be unless you just want to have a little bit of fun. Okay, the one thing I really haven't covered yet is switches. I don't use a lot of switches, but some people like to use switches. They're really nice for if you just want to leave your power source on or whatever, you can use a switch. And there's a switch there, and same thing, just like a relay, you connect the battery bank to a switch. And let's say I want these connected on a switch. Let's turn these off here. And you can also run this switch to a relay if you want. So let's run this to a relay. And then relay to the turrets, and then relay to the turrets. So right now the switch is off, so if I go and turn this on, now my turrets are on. So now if I go turn this off, the turrets are off. So maybe you want to use that. Let's say you want your turrets off at a certain time, or maybe on at a certain time, but you want your blade traps going and your dart traps going. You can hook a switch up to those turrets. Or same thing, let's say you want to hook the switch up to the dart trap. You can do that. Anything you want to do, but the switches are nice. I don't use them a whole lot, but they are nice for bases. Let's say you got a spotlight that's kind of hard to reach. Let's turn both of these off. Let's disconnect these. Let's say you got a spotlight that's kind of hard to reach. I can run the switch up to these spotlights, and you can connect these spotlights if you want. If you don't have a relay, I'm just going to connect both of those. As you can see, the lights are off. Now if I flip the switch, they're on, off. There you go. Okay, so I've covered the battery bank a whole lot. Let's cover the other ones. We do have the generator bank. As you can see, you just put an engine in here with some gas, and I'm just going to refuel it. The max output is 50, so each engine gives you 50. You just put engines in there, you're going to get 50. They really don't degrade like the batteries do. As you can see, my batteries are already starting to degrade just a little bit. But let's say you want to charge the battery bank. So let's hook up the generator bank. Let's go ahead and turn it on. I'm going to connect this to the battery bank. Okay, now that these are connected and the generator is on, I'm going to turn it on. It is now doing all the power for everything connected. So it's powering the auto turrets, it's powering the blade trap. As you can see, this is 0 watts, but it's now charging the batteries. So the battery bank is taking care of all the power, and it's charging your batteries. So as soon as you turn this off, you're not charging the batteries anymore, and now this is taking over the power source. So as you can see, if you turn this back on, there's 24 watts here being used. If I turn this on, there's 29 watts being used because 5 watts is charging the battery bank. This will charge your batteries back to full and power everything. Now let's say we want to use the solar bank. Here's my solar cells here. So the level 6 is worth 30 and the level 2 is worth 20. So each one has its own wattage rating. So let's throw a couple solar cells in there. And now let's connect this now to the battery bank. As you can see, we're draining power. We have 24 watts. Now if we turn this on, we're using 29 watts. This is now on, and it's charging your battery bank at the same time, and you're not using gas, which is amazing. This is literally an infinite power source that's just going to work. And these solar cells here will be recharged by your solar panels here. So this is like an infinite power source. And if you connect it to your battery bank, well, then you can just use power as much as you want, or you can just use this for power if you want. But just keep in mind, they both have to be turned on to recharge. That's one of the questions I've been getting lately is how the heck do you get to your batteries to recharge? They both have to be turned on. Your other power source has to be connected to the battery bank, and they both have to be turned on. Now, one little hack you can do, let's say you want to put your solar banks outside your base pretty far away. You can connect these with relays to your battery bank, and you can use a switch in the middle of this. So right now my switch is off. This isn't doing anything. It's literally just has 1 watt of power, max 55. This is using all the power, 24 watts. It's powering everything, but they're both turned on, as you can see. Now you turn the switch on, and what I did is I connected the solar bank to the switch, and then to the switch to the battery bank. Now if I flip the switch on, this is using 30 watts of power, so it's charging the batteries now. As you can see, it's powering everything and charging the batteries. And then if I turn this switch off, this isn't doing anything except charging the solar cells. And now the battery bank's using. So a little hack, if you need, you can put the battery bank outside and then connect it with a switch to your battery bank and just leave them on all the time and just flip your switch on and off when you need to charge your batteries. And one more hack I'll show you guys too that's kind of fun to do. You see this in pretty advanced bases, but I'm going to hook this switch. This is coming from my power source over to my trigger plate, and then trigger plate, we're going to go up to this spotlight here. So this is all connected with the dart trap. So we're going to flip this on and then go stand on the pressure plate. As you can see, I'm getting shot and the lights turn on. I step off, lights turn off, step on, and I'm dead. I should have used a first aid kit, but basically that turns on the spotlights and the dart trap. So you can hook this pressure plate to spotlights also. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it. I tried to keep it simple. Like I said, if you guys are struggling at all with getting something hooked up, always remember, start with the power source, go to a switch or a relay, and then go to whatever you're hooking up. Whether it's the dart trap, whether it's going to the pressure plate, a blade trap, electric fence post, always start with the power source and then work your way from there if you need. And then if you have any other questions or any of the tutorials you want to see, be sure to comment below and let me know. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya. Bye.